right, guys, we're back here in the lab recording the Free Play Arcade podcast. We're doing a little bit of a State of the Cade kind of update. We've just done a ton of awesome events over the month of December, and this one actually might be in November. We're going to start off, we're going to talk about our Gamerama event at Richardson. Then we're going to hit up the Richardson 2-year anniversary. Then we're going to hit up last Christmas at Free Play Arlington. And can I talk about some of the developments right now in our big, huge spring tournament Super Turbo series? And, maybe we'll hint at some New Year's events that are coming up in 2 days. We should probably be working on that right now. Anyways, let's start off. Let's talk Gamerama. Free Play Richardson, the first time DJ Terminator Mike B has played in Richardson.
Yes. And
we paired him up with what's a pretty interesting event. Tell us about what Gamerama is.
Okay, yeah, we had Michael Beltran, DJ Terminator Mike B performing the last, I think 9 to 11 o'clock, something like that. Last few hours.
I think it was actually 10 to 1.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
That was his first time. He's a long time Free Play Richardson supporter, Free Play Arcade supporter. Richardson is a bit his home base right now, and he's played Arlington several times, so it was big for the whole Richardson community to see him playing live.
Well, and of course, Arlington has an actual DJ booth,
right?
So it's a lot.
Which he's a fan of.
It's a lot easier to get him into Arlington doing something special, and it's probably important to say this is kind of a throwback event to something we ran in Arlington, where we had DJ Mike B come. We ran a Gamerama kind of promotion. Which, of course, you still haven't described what Gamerama is, and I've cut you off. What is Gamerama?
It's 5 quick time, very quick hourly tournaments on games, just as quick as possible. Formats changed up to where single elimination or all score based, just to make it as quick as possible so we can move on to the next tournament and the next tournament and the next tournament.
So basically, the goal is 5 tournaments, 5 hours.
5 tournaments, 5 hours. Just as maniac of a pace as you could possibly have. We had a Pac-Man Battle Royale, Marshall Masters, the 6-player XMen arcade. We managed to get a tournament format for that. The classic Mario Deathmatch format, Mario Brothers. We've done that tournament several times. And a Marble Madness head-to-head tournament to cap it all off.
All right, so we were aiming for about an hour on each. And I think that means Pac-Man Battle Royale had to start at 8 p.m.
Right.
And if I remember correctly, we had like 40 entrants.
Yeah, we had a ton. That was the biggest entered tournament as of any of them. So we cut it down to you get 2 wins and then you move on. So you're eliminating 3 players per match with Pac-Man Battle Royale's one-on-one format. And that made it go nicely. It finished probably at 8:50, no problems at all. Jeremy Golden won, and everybody had fun. And it's scalable. It's a great game to have a tournament on.
So Pac-Man Battle Royale is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's straight an awesome game, especially the version we have at Free Play Richardson, which is the much improved, the original planned release, which just ended up getting sent to Japan, where the game wasn't even popular.
Right.
But we run an original import Japanese Pac-Man Battle Royale, which plays like a real Pac-Man, and it introduces a lot more skill into the Pac-Man Battle Royale.
Yeah, it's got bigger mazes, more intricacy to the mazes.
And the way you control your Pac-Man just feels a lot more like Pac-Man.
Yeah.
I've played Battle Royale a bunch, the American version and other places, and nothing quite compares to moving it around on a real Pac-Man. And our Battle Royale in Richardson, the Japanese spec, amazing. Feels just like Pac-Man playing. We ran the tournament. What kind of prizes do we have?
I honestly don't recall.
I do. We had trinkets. We had awesome Pac-Man trinkets that we had ordered that were like, I think we had like a Pac-Man pop doll for the first place. Right. And then the 3 others had the little weird random Pac-Man figures that you opened up and out of an egg or something.
Yeah.
And
so all the finalists won a prize.
So the 4 finalists got a prize, and the winner got the weird Pac-Man with legs and arms pop figure. Yeah. Awesome. All right, what was the next game?
Next game was Marshall Masters, which was also won by Jeremy Golden, as he put his early stamp on that day.
So Marshall Masters is probably the rarest fighting game we have.
I would say so. I don't know where another dedicated Marshall Masters is in the country.
I've never seen it out there. I mean, it's on the Poly Game Master system, which was the Neo Geo competitor that never really got off the ground here in America. Marshall Masters is considered the absolute top uber game on that system, and we run a beautiful American but kind of Japanese inspired cabinet that was custom built for games just like Marshall Masters. And how did that tournament go? It lasted a little long, right?
Yeah, the game format of 3 players on each team, and then having to exhaust each of the 3 players made it run a little bit long. It probably lasted about an hour and 15 minutes as opposed to an hour. But the tournament itself ran well. The game is great. It always gets a lot of pop from the players themselves. It's just really fun to play.
And so if I'm doing my times right, though, then that means the last 15 minutes of that tournament were like 10 to 10:15. Which would have been when DJ Mike B was on and pumping some serious beats into the arcade.
Yeah. So it was a bit hectic there at the end as we're running late and we're going to have to do 3 more tournaments in less than 3 hours, and DJ Terminator Mike B is already going strong.
Well, and that morning, Richard, you set up a cool new kind of setup so that we could bring in some extra powered speakers.
Right.
And you've never even heard these powered speakers in the dining room at Richardson.
Oh, not at all.
But it was perfect. It was amazing. It was a really, really cool scene. And having them be 10-1 meant, we only had grown-ups there, only people of drinking age there. And it turned into this amazing party atmosphere.
Well, now we're set up for it, so we can do it anytime we want.
And don't worry, we're going to use it as much as possible.
Sweet.
All right, so we hit up Martial Masters. What came next?
Martial Masters, then on to 6-player XMen, a game that you really don't think of as a tournament-level game. It's just a Konami beat-em-up that you would put quarters into or mash the start button repeatedly to keep going. Except in our tournament, you get 1 credit, 1 life, go as far as you can, all 6 players active, and just go as long as you can.
And in a free-play environment, that seems like the best way, really, to play these Konami games. It's you get your 1 credit, and you see how far you can go.
Yeah,
and
that's recreating the days of mom gives you 1 quarter to go to the laundromat, and you play as long as you possibly can.
Well, and the key to free play, even if your mom gave you 2 or 4 quarters, once you start pressing that credit button, you're just going to keep pressing it until you beat the game. No skill, doesn't matter. And for X-Men, I think the only tournament we've ever run on X-Men before this was the Genius Summer Challenge you came up with. Where
I remember this.
Yeah, so...
Oh,
where it was merely who could credit up the game,
right.
And what was it? Just getting up to 999
I forget
credits,
which brewery it was, but 300 was the number. I think it was 3 Nations Brewery.
3 Nations Brewery.
So I told all the competitors we're just going to race to 300 lives. Whoever can get the most lives or get to 300 the fastest wins the little T-shirt prize that we had that day. And
so that's the only tournament we've ever run on X-Men.
Yeah. Well, it was a second part to that as well.
Oh. Tell me.
Okay, so you race to 300, and all the players are just they're just mashing the start button as fast as they possibly can, and then 2 players basically simultaneously get to 300, and the other ones are still mashing the buttons, and I just let them keep on mashing. And I'm like, I can't tell. You 2 both won the prize, and it was the smallest prize we had, like the T-shirt or whatever. And I told them all right, now I have a special challenge for all of you right now. Hit the start button. Whoever gets to 0 lives or whoever dies first gets the biggest prize I can possibly give you for the entire day. So they had to spend the entire rest of the night trying to kill off
300 lives is
all
hours,
those X-Men.
Hours of work.
And what happened is exactly what I anticipated happening, which is somebody left in frustration, which I told them that's probably going to happen. No worries. If you want to keep trying to kill yourself off, keep trying to play Magneto and murder the X-Men as efficiently as possible. Keep on going. So someone walks off, someone else comes up, and it's like, oh, game. Colossus has 500 more lives.
Yeah. All right, so that was the previous X-Men. So this one was longest lasting. How did it go as a tournament?
It went fantastic. That's a fun format. It's all part of like building my dream team of X-Men players that can just six players, 1 credit, just blow through the entire game, which I hope to see that kind of level of
so
dedication.
We're not there yet, but
No.
but that's kind of, it builds this interesting dynamic between the players, right? Because they're not directly fighting each other; they're just trying to live as long as possible.
Sure.
So and with 6 players on the same screen, that can get pretty intense.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah, because you have 6 times as many bad guys, and there are lasers flying everywhere. Someone throws a player, you hear "ha!" and you have to run out of the way as fast as possible as someone's careening across the screen, going to kill you.
All right. So what was our prize for X-Men?
I had gotten back before I worked here, when I was just doing my free play arcade community group, I had gotten a 6-player, not a 6-player, it was an X-Men original like arcade toy with the style, that Ultimate X-Men style that X-Men Arcade has. And it may have been along the lines of the X-Men animated series, which was the pilot, which was based on the game,
right?
Which was then replaced with the X-Men 90s style that we all know, which was then recreated in Marvel vs. Capcom, that whole series of games.
Easy to follow.
Oh, yeah. It makes perfect sense.
All right, and we skipped the Marshall
Apparently I know my
Masters.
X-Men.
We skipped the Marshall Masters prize. What did we give Jeremy Golden for winning Marshall Masters?
I don't recall on that
All
one.
right, it was a bad kung. No, it was a good kung fu movie.
Yeah.
Drunken Master.
Drunken Master, and then there was another one that the
loser
runner-up got.
Some other Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah, so two DVDs of classic martial arts movies.
Well, when we were
Bad
nice
prize
this
for a night?
time, because we've
prizes?
previously given bad kung fu movies. This time they were both pretty good, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
which I don't even remember.
I'm subjective, but yeah, they were among the better ones. Yeah.
All right, so we gave away the X-Men kind of arcade stylized toys for the X-Men tournament. This is Gamerama, Game 4. I mean, Terminator Mike B is pumping now. It's insane. It's and I'm not shy with volume. It was loud in there.
Yes.
Everyone was getting down. What was the next game?
Mario Brothers, right next to Terminator Mike B.
And that was right.
Yeah,
That's about as
facing
close
him.
as you could get. It was in his direct path. So Mario Brothers is one of the best tournament games we've ever had.
Yeah,
Mario
works
absolutely.
perfect. Smash Brothers Zero.
The 1v1 aspect of Mario Brothers is so much fun. I mean, it doesn't matter if you win, if you lose. It's always intense, and it's always just awesome. Mm-hmm. So how did that one go?
That one went great, like it always does. And Dylan Smith won that tournament for the second time, and you're gonna be handing him money, I predict, in a few months.
New superstar Dylan Smith, who he came to us at Free Play Arlington. I think he lives in Arlington, works in Arlington, something like that.
If I recall correctly, I know he had his first date with his fiance.
Now fiance.
Yeah, at Free Play Arlington, and I met them either that day or shortly afterwards. And he has been on a torrid pace on all the arcade records, breaking world records, winning tournaments. He won the Mario Deathmatch tournament at Let's Play Game Expo.
Jeez.
I'm going to mention him here in a moment when we talk about the next tournament. So,
well, and he now has more high scores than any other player at Free Play, right?
I believe that is correct. Yeah, something like 42 of them.
And it's
wow.
And he's only been playing at Free Play for like 5 months.
Yeah.
It's amazing, and he's naturally skilled. He's a great gamer.
Yeah, I remember seeing him play. So we had a Free Play chain inspired event, a brewery event, among that first month that I met him at Free Play Arlington, and one of the games that got hit was Burger Time, which we had just had the challenge where it was just beat the first level. That was the entire challenge.
We did like
as long as you can beat
an
the first
anniversary
level.
event for Burger Time.
That game is hard if you don't know what you're doing. He plays it for the first time, and he's like, it's a maze game, and he just blows through it and sets a crazy score that no one can touch for the entire night. And people were walking up behind him saying, yeah, he's lying. That's not his first time playing the game. I can tell you, I believe him. that's how Dylan plays.
Dylan, yeah. So amazing new gamer that we've met. That's one of the best parts about opening new arcades, and hopefully as we open up more, we're going to discover these truly gifted gamers that have never
of a younger generation too.
Right.
This isn't.
He's a young professional. He's in his 20s, working a job, and all of a sudden a retro arcade opens near him, and he's playing games that are older than him and just destroying them.
And he now has something to do.
Right. Well, exactly. I mean, that's so cool. Like, it's unlikely that he even has like a native arcade experience, at least where these games existed.
Yeah, no.
And now it's there. It's right near him, and he gets to go play all the time and set all of our high scores, destroy games. And when he decides to focus on one, it's going to be insane.
I think world records fall whenever he focuses on one game. I mean, world records have fallen, and he has been playing a myriad of games.
Right,
so.
He's just messing around.
Right.
Getting triple doubles.
I mean, he was looking at. We should probably mention now. He was looking at the Mad Max score.
Oh wow!
Yeah, he was going to angle towards that. He still got his eye kind of sideways on it, but that's a different one.
And that's something we should probably talk about because that's a weird story.
Yeah.
Let's get to that. All right, so we have one more game. We're past midnight now. It is the twilight hour of Free Play Richardson. Saturday Gamerama. What was the game?
Marble Madness and. Yeah. Marble Madness has 2-player simultaneous play, 2 rollerballs. It's a classic game. It's a fantastic game with incredible music.
Beautiful game.
And I don't know of any tournaments on it. I wanted to do it head-to-head, my thought was to do it deathmatch style as we do Mario Brothers, but at the last minute I thought, I don't think that there's a way, because when you push forward in that game, you take time away from your opponent, so there is really no difference between high score and who survives the longest. So at the last minute I said, I don't think it matters, but I want to make clear this is a high score head-to-head challenge.
You're going to play simultaneously.
We're going to play simultaneously. Highest score in the end is going to be the one who wins. And I think it's going to be the one that survives the longest. That turned out to be a very, very good call, because the game works in 5-second increments. So there was a time or two where they absolutely died at the exact same time. Nobody survived longer, and one player scored more points than the other one.
Well, that's important. Yeah.
But
so that you can have a result.
Dylan won that one. And the way he won it was so spectacular. I mean, he's a phenomenal player. Richard and him are the two best players I've seen of Marble Madness in person. So there's a trick. Why don't you describe it? The trick where you jump over the side of the maze.
Okay, so on one of the levels, you actually start up on a platform, and if you spin your roller ball in the right way, you can actually avoid this tedious little path that you have to go through in order to jump into the middle of the maze and then immediately drop down and bypass that entire slow section of the game. It saves you, on average, 10 to 12 seconds out of gameplay if you're fast going through that maze.
Well, and if this is the level I'm thinking of, that's almost required to really make it super deep into the game.
Oh, super.
Yeah. And it's a really, really nuanced, very difficult maneuver to pull off. I would say it's much harder than just navigating the maze, but it's much quicker as well. And Dylan, at this point in the semifinals, had blown his opponent away, so he just had to play out the string. Instead, he jumps the path. He goes down the shortcut and then decides, well, I'm already ahead of my opponent. I'm just going to jump into his path now. And he just literally blocked him until his opponent timed out. And
I'm sure his opponent was super happy about it.
Super happy, incredibly gracious. It was a great moment, though. I love that little trick, the head-to-head. I love the deathmatch-esque elements.
That's a beautiful move. In that entire game, there's actually there's only 2 moments that you can jump ahead in that game, in the entire game, and then 1 moment that you can jump to get some extra points. But that was a beautiful move on his part.
Yeah. Blocked it off. Won the tournament easily.
All right, so he wins the last 2 tournaments. What did he get for that? What did Mario Brothers give him, and what did he get for Marble Madness?
He got the second greatest marble game possible beyond Marble Madness, which is Hungry Hungry Hippos.
That took a little bit of explaining to people. They were like, "Why are we doing this?" And it was because Hungry Hungry Hippos says that it's a marble chomping game, and I was like, "Boom, Marble Madness, marble chomping game. Hungry Hungry Hippos is the prize."
I don't think a lot of people get our humor.
Well, I mean, it's hard to come up with prizes for Marble Madness.
We give some really awesome prizes, though.
We do. And what did you get for Mario Brothers?
Mario Brothers, that I don't recall. Super Mario Brothers on DVD, of course.
On DVD. The beautiful, the perfect, original early 90s Mario Brothers movie.
Yes,
they jump through a rock.
One of the great video game adaptations to cinema of all time, before they completely forgot how to make a really good quality video game movie like they have now today.
You know what? I think if they took that exact same approach and just started making video game movies, we'd probably end up with some pretty interesting, awesome movies.
We would end up with some interesting movies for sure. Yeah.
We would watch them.
Yeah. All right. So after Richardson Gamerama came the Richardson 2-year anniversary.
Woo!
We've made it 2 years. Hooray. We're bigger than ever. We are busier than ever. It all worked. That's awesome. But in planning this, I was kind of I don't want to have a huge blowout celebration for our 2-year anniversary. 1 year, you make it that 1 year, that's amazing. When we get to our 5-year, we blow the roof off. But 2, 3, and 4, you gotta have some tact there. You gotta be careful because of course you made it 2 years. You've already made it 1 year. So we wanted to do kind of a low key event. We invited the band back from our 1st-year anniversary. Calling Jack Burton.
Amazing band, by the way.
Oh my gosh. They're an Austin band. If we had them in DFW, who knows how many times a year they'd play. And Chris is the one who told me this the first time, and it clicked in my head. When they play our songs, it's like bringing our playlist to life. Our normal 80s playlist, and then it's live right in front of you with an ultra talented band. And so we brought them back. And that was kind of the big part of it. We brought. I mean, live music in an arcade, pretty rare already, and bringing an '80s playlist to life, awesome. We also released the T-shirts that you're wearing right
Oh
now.
yeah,
the team free play shirts. And we now have less than 1,000, but almost 1,000 of those sitting in boxes ready to be distributed that we're going to slowly be bringing out for different challenges, different giveaways, different opportunities to win them, buy them. We're in love with those shirts.
Oh yeah.
And so we brought out new team free play shirts, which is the hashtag that our big community group uses, who we love. It's awesome. We brought out.
They love the shirts as well. I mean, it's Josh did the design. He's a community group member.
Community group member Josh Featherstone did the design, and I remember working with him that day. We had the design close, and then just all the pieces fell into place, and it was beautiful. And all of a sudden, we had what I was like. It's so close. The design's so close. And then we just kind of figured it all out, and he sent me an email. And I was like, "That's it. No more work. We're printing these."
And the quality of the print turned out really well. Like that was something that he was concerned about. Was there's so much intricacy into the little dots here.
Well,
that make
two color print and T-shirts.
So our beautiful screen printer did a great job. And here's probably the biggest, coolest thing. American Apparel is back in business and making our favorite 50-50 cotton blend shirts. The last time we had them were these. We could not get those summer shirts in this quality.
But I think that is the American Apparel
Is that
version.
the original summer?
Yeah, because it's more of a teal.
All right, fine. The second summer shirts, we couldn't get an American Apparel.
We have this in two blues.
Because they were in bankruptcy court, so we had to switch to a fine shirt, but just not quite what we want. And now we have American Apparel back in business. We released that shirt for the 2-year. We bring back Calling Jack Burton. We had some cool specials. We brought King and Balloon, Reactor, and Rolling Thunder back to the arcade. No one played any of those all night.
Well, we stuck them in the hallway, but
well, we didn't. So Free Play Richardson.
I promised I would break the record, and I did break the record in silence in the back.
Nice.
So one of the things that has happened over 2 years is we have filled Free Play Richardson with absolutely unbelievable high quality games. And I mean, the floor is packed. We don't have space. We wanted to bring in some special things. We ended up having to stash them in the hallway just because we couldn't find any other place for them.
We wanted to play them.
Right. And so we brought them. We played them a few times. We enjoyed them. So describe kind of the band. Describe. I mean,
you know what? I know I said this on a previous podcast when we talked about our parties. My favorite moment from all the parties all the time was actually having Calling Jack Burton play and then walk through the arcade and play games as normal when you have a live band playing the playlist. And not only did that happen again this year on a smaller scale, I mean, they were still there. The event wasn't as huge by design, but you had Super Turbo players traveling from states around, as they always do, which, as my phone, if I turned it on, would be blowing up. Why aren't you playing with us now? But they were there, and you practically had them on stage underneath the speakers, which might be a cruel joke, except they're Super Turbo players. They all came prepared with their, ready for the Air Force Base level earphones and stuff. So they're playing right on stage. And I have this very fun video of these guys just playing and having a good time, just right underneath the speakers as Calling Jack Burton is going crazy with Billy Idol in the background.
Well, yeah, and so now I almost expect it, because we'll get to some more live music. It's like these fighting game players we have so many fighting games that they always seem to end up near the stage. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's going to be this trend where the fighting games end up right next to the stage, and the fighting game players will enjoy the music while playing the fighting game. They're not going to turn away from the game. They're going to enjoy it right on their ear.
They come to embrace the chaos.
And they just, and that was what was kind of nice. So our 1 year was a full ticketed event. Mm-hmm. We limited the amount of people that could come in. We sold kind of higher price tickets so that
special,
right? So that we could, have the people that wanted to be there, and just have the arcade to ourselves, so we could actually play some.
Oh yeah.
This year we wanted it to just be open to the public, and that was a beautiful kind of thing that was happening, because you had all these people who were just coming to the arcade on a Saturday night, and they're like, what the heck is going on? There's a band on the stage?
They had no idea. It was great. We didn't even shut down to open.
Well, and we had... So, I do crazy things sometimes. And this time,
It's a good and terrible quality Corey has.
I wanted to stay open because I wanted the people who'd already paid their admission to be able to stay in the arcade while we got ready. But what this meant, we had to transform the entire arcade from a games everywhere arcade to there's the stage. We got to move all the games to new locations. Some of the games had to leave the floor. All the tables had to leave the floor. All the chairs had to leave the floor.
That was
Bring
an
in all
adventure.
the audio equipment. Bring in the lights. Bring in the bands.
Have the audio guys show up with huge speakers, lighting, everything. The band comes in. They set up, and this is a big band. I mean, it's not, and it all happened though. It all worked. It was a crazy 2 hours, and we didn't even close. We transformed the entire arcade. We had live music, and then at around 10 p.m., we had all these people come to the arcade, just randomly coming because they were going to stop by Free Play to have a good time. And there's a band on a stage playing awesome 80s music and just rock. It was so cool.
I love the absurdity of our events.
Well, and it was so cool to see. Well, can you imagine you just coming out and all of a sudden there's a band full of relatively young people playing music, probably all older than every band member, and just rocking out and having a great time. People dancing on the floor, people dancing while playing arcade games. Absurd. And I have to say thank you to Colin Jack Burton because I'm obsessed with Last Christmas. And last year, no one even played Last Christmas. This year, I mean, for sad reasons, and maybe there was a rediscovery of the song Last Christmas by Wham. I just wanted to hear it as much as possible. And so I asked Colin Jack Burton to learn the song. And it was, and we'll get to, it was played again in our next concert. But this was like one of my favorite moments of the entire year. They nailed the song. It was beautiful because Colin Jack Burton has a female and male, like, kind of simultaneous lead vocalist. And having both of them going at this song, it was one of my favorite things that have happened all year. It was a great version of it. It was just awesome. Like, I was in heaven. And they continued to play. We had a great event. I mean, that was pretty much the 2 year. We didn't want to go too crazy.
That was it.
But we had a packed floor of people who were jamming to live 80s music.
It's just a live version of Friday night at Free Play.
Well, and we had a lot of people that they weren't expecting it. They came out, they knew it was going to be an event, and it just turned into a magical evening. And I think that's the best thing about our events is that you never know exactly what's going to happen, but they're always magical events.
Well, and we had, professional level audio throughout, professional level lighting, a great band.
Yep.
Some of the stuff that we're doing, there are arcades that have stages, there are arcades that do shows, but this is above and beyond and just crazy. There is no reason our shows are as cool as they are. Except, of course, you have a background in producing shows.
Yay.
And I have just an absolute insane drive to throw insane events. And I just want to make them more and more insane, which brings us to Last Christmas at Free Play Arlington.
Yeah.
December 16th, 2017.
Massive blowout event.
So I guess the backdrop here. The background is I keep watching these 80s movies and I see these things happening on these 80s movies that I've never experienced, which is like there's people dancing and stuff in the streets, there's snow falling, there's having snowball fights, there's music playing.
Very cinematic.
And it's just beautiful, and I've never had anything like that. Some of it's probably because
most people haven't.
Well, and we don't really get snow
not in Dallas.
Not in Dallas.
And so I had the idea, I want to try to make an experience like that. And it was a lot harder than I think we ever could have possibly anticipated. And so I'm gonna kind of go through the Facebook post, this is what we promised, and this is what we delivered this, and we'll talk about how some things worked better than others and everything like that.
Biggest event we've ever thrown, by the way.
Well, and we had
It was everything combined into one event.
Well, right.
Everything
Absolutely.
before just
it was
thrown into one.
15 hours of insanity. That's how long we were open that day. We had,
We'll go through it all in the post, I'm sure.
Well, so here I'm gonna do the list and then we're gonna walk through it. Well, all right. So 11 to 6 p.m. Ice skating rink in the parking lot, 50,000 pounds of snow, and the best hot chocolate stand in town. All right. So we're gonna step back now and we're gonna talk about those three things.
All right.
All right. Those three things actually represent the most expensive part of the event.
Oh, absolutely.
And possibly, the most part of the event. The 50,000 pounds of snow, unbelievable.
Oh, it was
really,
awesome.
really awesome. Everyone who went in there, and what happened is that morning, 2 huge 18-wheelers show up with snow, start using a snowmaker, start spraying, 50,000 pounds of snow onto our parking lot.
They are throwing bags of ice into their snowmaker, and it's crushing them up, and they've got a big hose. They're shooting it all over the parking lot. It is amazing to watch. I mean, some of the crew members, they're out there playing in it as they're like shooting each other with the snowmaker. I mean, it is a gorgeous sight. We've got people driving down the street just wondering what is going on. It's 7 o'clock in the morning.
It takes them hours to put this much snow on the ground.
Absolutely.
And what happened is we had probably a 50 by 50 square that they put maybe 6 inches of snow. And I mean, some of it was higher, some of it was lower. You'd step and you'd sink in and you'd be like, what is going on?
It was awesome.
And I mean, even though I'm from Texas, I've gone skiing, I've played in real snow. This felt really, really authentic, really awesome. And in fact, I'd argue in many ways better than some of the real snow I've played in, because the snowballs that I threw,
made some beautiful snowballs.
Well, and when they hit, they broke up. They didn't stay compacted. It was nice.
It wasn't like fresh powder that doesn't stick together.
Right. It was awesome. Every part of that, and we've got these videos of these kids building forts, because we knew that the early part, because I mean, for better or worse, early on Saturday, our business is families of grown-ups and kids. The grown-ups who want to have a good time, have a beer, have a nice meal, play these old games, and bring their kids and enjoy them all together. So we knew that, so we had these kind of activities planned that were going to be more family-friendly early, because, and we'll get to it, the night was going to be nuts.
Yep.
We knew it was going to be a crazy party. So we have the snow. It worked great. Did you play in the snow, Chris?
I did. The snow. I played in the snow with Rob and Winston were out there, and I played with them. And I made a snowball through it just to say that I did. And then, the kids came later and caused all kinds of ruckus. But, it was snow. I mean, it was snow. You were walking through it going, I'm in snow. This is insane.
We had snowmen built out of it.
By the way, it's like 50 degrees outside, too.
Right.
And there's snow.
Right. It was not a cold day.
No.
It ended up getting to almost 62 or 63 degrees. And the snow, though, in its defense, it lasted into the morning.
Oh, yeah.
It lasted all night. I came, because it was my job to get them ready to open the next morning. They still had snow on the ground. They still had chunks of ice and stuff that had melted and refrozen. It was awesome. It was so cool. The snow was perfect. We're going to figure out, the snow's coming back next year.
Wait, you were able to save it? How?
Right. And I mean, but my favorite memory will always be, we had a Christmas tree out there, a 12-foot Christmas tree that was lit, looked beautiful, surrounded by these presents. And around 4 p.m., I look out. The kids have taken all the presents, built a huge wall, and there's probably 40 kids out there, 20 on each side of the wall, heaving snowballs at each other, and it's 62 degrees outside.
They discovered that the presents were fake. They were just props.
As soon as they realized that those were
had a cardboard box.
They were empty boxes, it became a wall, and they're just heaving stuff at each other. And I mean, it's 62 degrees outside in Dallas in Arlington, Texas, and that was actually one of the moments I was like, all right, this is going well. This event is going well, because that is absurd. And that is straight out of an 80s movie. A guy would be walking down the street, and all of a sudden there's just kids throwing snowballs at each other.
Well, where else are you going to go that happens?
In a winter wonderland. It was awesome.
Minnesota, I believe.
Right, there you go. And so then we got to talk about the skating rink.
Oh.
So the skating rink was cool. It was actually cool. It was 60 degrees. We had different options based on the temperature. Once they knew it was going to be 60 degrees, we had to go with what is the least real ice skating rink possible. There's no way for them to to set up real ice, obviously, in a portable situation. So this was interlocking skating panels, which are like a Teflon plastic, and then they cover it with what's called liquid ice. I went out there and I watched, and now one of the biggest issues I think that happened is there aren't too many people that know how to skate in Arlington. Like, ice skating...
We live in Texas.
Right. So ice skating is not necessarily the biggest hobby. And ice skating on this liquid ice, not the easiest way to skate.
Oh, no.
So I went out there for like a good 30 minutes just going in circles, skating for real, to show people that it was possible. Because I kept watching these teenagers get out there who don't skate that often, and they just slip right, fall on their butts, and be like, whoa, this isn't real skate. This isn't feel right. And some of the kids, they had the patience. You learned how to slide on that ice just right. It was a pretty enjoyable experience. I've gone pond skating before. I'd say that it was equivalent to skating on pond ice. That said, even though it was plastic with liquid ice, we had rental skates, we had attendants there. It was insanely expensive. It, for the experience, probably will not make it back to the last Christmas event next year. I mean, we've never done that before. That was a good lesson.
It was a good experiment.
And it worked in some ways, but ultimately was not successful enough. Did you get on the ice at all?
I not at the point that it was made into ice. I was there early in the morning. I went back to my corner of the arcade, and I never saw the daylight again.
Gotcha. Nice. Oh, well, because we'll get into that in just a second. Did you try to skate, Richard?
No, I didn't try to skate.
So Richard had stayed up all night getting the arcade ready because we were doing all sorts of insane things, setting up the hot chocolate stand, which we're about to talk about, decor everywhere, all sorts of new lines had to be run to get different things hooked up. I mean, and so I showed up at the arcade the day of the event early, 3 or 4 hours before we opened. Richard's there. I'm like, whoa.
8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning when
I was
Corey
like,
shows
whoa,
up.
I can't believe you're already here. And then he's like, I haven't left. So
I've been working right up to that point, making sure that all the decor was done, making signs, like making sure that.
Well, and the more I looked around, I
taken care of.
realized, he was definitely here all night because there was.
I worked the entire time.
There was so much up.
I think I saw you early that night, around 8 or 9
So
p.m.
he went. Richard took
I
a
had to
nap,
go take a nap.
and
Right.
he showed up. I mean,
From 3:30.
Yeah.
Well, I did the same thing because I saw you the day before when you were just about to start your all-nighter,
nice.
and I was like,
Yes.
I want to help Richard, and then I realized I couldn't help Richard. I couldn't be efficient, and I knew I was going to be up until the wee hours of the morning the next day, so I took my nap at that point.
We all made it work, and it turned out to a very successful event.
Well, I mean, this. So, no matter how I talk about this event, and no matter when I say things worked and didn't work, more than 1,000 people came to the arcade that day.
Well, it was a preposterous event.
Right.
I mean, honestly, let's just throw that out there. That the fact that this event existed in Arlington, Texas, 62-degree weather,
Winter
at an
Wonderland,
arcade.
right? At an arcade.
It's the most ridiculous thing that Corey has ever proposed, and of course, as soon as we all heard that this was what we wanted to do, we had to make it bigger and better and find more and more things to include.
So, the snow was great. Ice skating rink,
Yeah.
The hot chocolate stand. So I had proposed an insane hot chocolate stand outside. One thing I didn't think about, and of course I just went and posted. I said, we're gonna have the best hot chocolate stand in the entire world.
It was like a throwaway comment by Corey online.
Well, and so as we're running up to the event, I'm like, all right, we're gonna have to build a house to put this hot chocolate stand in, and I want it to be like a Santa's Village style house.
Corey starts talking to me about this house like
And then-
3 days before the event.
And then as I'm proposing it, I realize
It should have been gingerbread.
we don't have a permit to operate outside.
Nope.
We can't serve food out of our premises, which include the patios and our anything under our roof. And also, I want to be able to put vanilla vodka or Rumplemints in this hot chocolate because spiked hot chocolate is the best.
Well, spiked hot chocolate is awesome, but we also discovered, like, Corey's Facebook post, it started getting a lot of traction. He had started posting and he said, the best hot chocolate ever. And
Which we had some amazing reviews on our hot chocolate stand.
well, it turned out fantastic. But originally, we were like, oh, yeah, we'll get some hot chocolate mix. We'll mix it with some water. It's going to be awesome. And then we had to actually change up our entire recipe because as soon as he posted this in the ridiculous nature that he sometimes does, people started talking about it. When they started talking about it, they got excited. And we said, oh, we can't just go get like Swiss Miss and, water and put that together. We've got to make this fancy. So we have a proprietary recipe now with some very fancy chocolates. And
We have
other things.
developed what I think is one of the best hot chocolate recipes in the world.
I had the non-spiked version. I was a huge fan.
It was awesome. It was amazing. By the end of the night, I mean, it was just a huge hit. We sold something like 400 servings, 500 servings of hot chocolate with about half of them spiked. But we did have to move it inside. We didn't even have a health permit to serve outside. We also could never get the TABC to allow us to move our liquor outside
Not at all.
to spike hot chocolate in the public. So we moved that inside. It was still a huge hit.
Oh, yeah. It
went
worked
great.
great.
And it was some of the best
both
hot
types.
chocolate I've ever had.
Oh, it's delicious.
It turned into LMA's Santa Claus, Mrs. Claus hot chocolate stand.
There
I
you
liked
go.
having the candy cane stir.
Candy
that
cane
made
stir.
it beautiful.
It was awesome. All right. So during the day, we also had, the first 400, and it turned out actually the first 430 people who showed up at the door received a free Bad Movie.
Woo!
And I mean, this is the podcast that a couple hundred people are going to see, so we can even say where these movies actually came from. I made a ridiculous Facebook post that said Blockbuster was sponsoring it because I made a calculated. I in my head I was like, "There's no way Blockbuster's going to sue us because they're bankrupt and mostly gone." So, and I didn't actually use their name in the post. I just used their huge logo in the post.
It's like using their name,
right? So I promised everyone one final bad movie night. Brought to you by Blockbuster Entertainment.
We had some awesome bad movies.
Well, yeah, I mean, we had every major Hollywood movie that had come out was in that from about 2008 to 2013. Because in 2013 or so, we bought a DVD kiosk from a
online auction,
a company that was trying to bring DVD kiosks to Dallas and place them just like Redbox style. And we bought this kiosk thinking it was empty.
The kiosk company, this is basically the Canadian version of Redbox. They were trying to expand into other territories. It wasn't going well. We saw these in an auction, and partway through the auction, we realized, wait a minute, this might come with DVDs. We're not sure, but it could. So we put, what, $20 on it?
$20.
$20.
We bought a DVD kiosk, and then we opened it up, and there it is in little black rental cases, 400 plus DVDs. And they were all, almost all of them were different. Almost all of them, I mean, these were major Hollywood releases that just, I mean, some of them were good. Things like Moneyball were in there. And then there was plenty of terrible things. I can't even remember.
And
I mean,
4 Xbox games, I think, as well.
Yeah, we had some Xbox games that snuck through. Because I guess they were renting video games too. I don't know.
So.
So we gave away every single one of them to the first 460 people that showed up at the door. Just as an extra point of absurdity.
Why not?
And then to make it even more absurd, every $5 you spent at the door, once you were in the place, you got to spend what became Chris's nightmare. The what do we call it? The holiday present wheel, the prize wheel. Naughty or nice prize. Naughty or nice present wheel. And so you'd spend $5, you'd get one spin. You spent $10, you got two. Spend $20, you got four, and so on and so forth. And we had all sorts of cool prizes. Give us a little taste or a sample of the prizes that were on there.
Let's see. We had Christmas DVDs, Christmas movies, which were like, there were 80s Christmas movies like Die Hard, which is my favorite. I don't think Rocky IV made the cut. That's another one of my favorite.
Not in there.
Gremlins, yes. Some Trading Places. Scrooged, yes.
Yep.
So there were those. There were T-shirts, of course.
The new Team Free Play
shirts, which were highly coveted. Pint glasses, things like that. And, of course, the 80s Chicken McNuggets toys, which nobody knew what they were. And in the moment they would hit it, it would be like, okay, I'll be right back. And I'd reach behind the bar and grab it, and I would say, this is an actual 1980s Chicken McNuggets toy you would find in a Happy Meal. Somehow Corey found them.
For the event, we sourced 40 80s Chicken McNugget toys in full outfits, because they came with these. They weren't just the nuggets that we were giving away. We were giving away their full costumes that they came with. Complete original. They did it from like 1985 to 1988. And if you've ever watched any 80s holiday commercials or anything, there's these little nugget toys that everyone wanted.
Oh, absolutely.
We gave them away. And no one even realized how amazing. Yeah. I mean, because these are 30-year-old toys.
We go to great lengths to secure some pretty amazing giveaways. And, some people get it, some people don't. But we're going to keep doing it because it's part of the ridiculousness that makes the free play experience what it is.
So, and what we'd not really underestimated, but we didn't really plan on having so many people save their receipts and want to spin the wheel. So next thing you know, Chris is totally bogged down in constant wheel spins, because, I mean, there were, over the course of the day, more than 1,000 people stopped by the arcade to do all the crazy stuff.
Right, and you had it every $5. So if you made a $25 purchase, that's 5 spins of the wheel.
And it was just, and so we're burning through shirts, nuggets, everything. And it just keeps going. We did it for 7 hours of wheel spinning. And probably 100 spins an hour. Who knows? A ton of spins.
To the point where I was taking the receipts so that people wouldn't spin multiple times. And I would put it in my back pocket. And I really didn't have any time to, file it away or anything. It's literally just going in my back pocket. So I have, a ticket redemption-esque
Nice.
experience where I had to go to the trash can in the corner, and I'm just like
Throwing huge
eating,
stacks of receipts away.
My pockets are exploding with receipts.
So while you're handling the wheel spinning, we also had the first tournament of the day start at noon. Woo!
Yes.
What was that?
That was Major League dreidel spinning. We had the actual Spin Agog from, it's a company, Major League Dreidel, is that
Major
correct?
League Dreidel is the company.
Yeah.
They make the Spin Agog.
Yeah, so it was also the last Hanukkah party.
Right, so Hanukkah was actually happening during this event. We were having last Christmas on December 16th, and then I realized, hey, Hanukkah's happening during that, and we started contacting some people to make sure we were inclusive, and I just thought, what is the most ridiculous thing? And out of nowhere, I find this company making what's called the Spin Agog, and I click on it, and it's a bar game.
It's brilliant.
For spinning dreidels. And so and these things weren't released yet. And so I had to contact the company, and I was like, I know I'm being a total dick asking, and I know you haven't released them. Can we get some of those for this party? And I sent him a link to the party, and he just sent me back like a one-word response was yes. And then the next, immediately after that, it popped up. He was like, "Oh my God, this is so cool! I cannot believe what I'm seeing." Because we had the photo of George Michael in a Santa hat, like holding a present with a nuclear holocaust happening behind him, with the monster from Stranger Things 2 destroying the entire world. And that was the photo. And he was just like, I saw that and I knew we were kindred spirits. Yes, you're going to get some Spin Agogs. We're going to figure outside, and we're still going to work with him in the future, do all sorts of cool events.
Yes.
Because the Spin Agog is amazing.
It's amazing. It was incredibly popular too. So you take your dreidel, you spin it, and then someone else, me, the referee, just clocks you and takes the time. And then you go head to head against your opponents. And then I actually watched footage from his Brooklyn qualifier Spin Agog event, Major League Dreidel event, to figure out the exact format. We had a qualifying round. We had people continuing to spin and spin and spin and try and get just a little bit more. People were going over 10 seconds. They were all chasing that world record of 17.85 seconds, I believe it is, of spinning a dreidel. And then there's this cool feature where in the second round, you have a head-to-head round, and then whoever spins the longest wins that. And then you have another round where you shrink down the board. The Spin Agog just gets a little smaller.
And so the difficulty becomes not hitting the wall. Because the walls close in, and if you hit that wall with those dreidels, boom, it's just going to fall over.
Right.
And, the tournament went great, yeah?
It went great. It was incredibly popular. So much so that we did it again later in the night at 1 a.m.
Right. We had a 1 a.m. Spin Agog Redux.
Because we're crazy.
It was nuts. And
by popular demand, by the way, people were coming back up. They were posting online when they saw, because I live streamed the final. Right. And they were disappointed they weren't out there, and they were coming out just to play Major League Dreidel.
It was awesome. That was one of those just magical things that worked. Like we wanted something like that, and then it existed. We were able to get it pre-released to us, and it's a total pro package. If you can, I think you can order them now. You should go buy. Everyone should go buy.
It's a beautiful system.
Everyone should go buy Spin Agogs.
Yeah.
They call it the only dreidel stadium ever. And it's a little stadium. And you fold it out. It makes a Star of David. It is brilliant. It is amazing and a ton of fun. And we're gonna have more bar game dreidel events because this exists, and it's so much fun.
Yeah, I would love to work with them again. It's so much fun and so intuitive on how to actually play that game.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we had some holiday drink specials. Just we recreated Christmas in a glass with like 5 liquors. It was awesome. We also brought in some extra games, some special snow-themed games. We brought in Snow Bros, which we had to repair just for that event because Snow Bros was at Richardson, died on us 2 days before the event. We got Snow Bros back. We have Hit the Ice in Arlington, the only dedicated Hit the Ice in the entire South. And then we brought Knight's Christmas for the Dreamcast, set it up on the bar, and didn't really... Right. The people that knew what it was liked it, but the people who didn't... It's actually a game that takes a little bit of learning to get, but it was cool to have. That's a relatively rare game. We have it on our Uber console setup. It was
Saturn.
awesome.
I never had a Saturn.
Well, and it plugs into our beautiful whatever that kind of TV is called. That camera.
Trinitron? Is that what?
Well, it's a Sony, but it's like I don't want to get it wrong.
Yeah.
So Then at the same time, we also had a nice visit from the DFW Ghostbusters.
Woo!
Did y'all see their cars?
I saw them from a distance. I never made it back out into the sunlight.
We had 3 different Ecto ones there, all at the same time in the parking lot. The lights were flashing off. We had like 12 or 15 different Ghostbusters inside free play, wearing proton packs and their entire suits. I mean, it was fantastic. They were interacting with people, posing with
right, and they were
photos.
They were champs, and it added this just extra layer of insanity. Because you looked outside and all of a sudden there's all these flashing lights on these Ecto 1 Uber Ghostbusters. And they're all surrounded by Ghostbusters. They're just 100 different, not 100, but there are 10 or 15 Ghostbusters there. Well, it was insane.
Tying in with all of the ridiculousness, Corey had been contacted and we tried to work all of this out, but obviously having absolutely nothing to do with our event whatsoever, but we had the opportunity and we thought that would be cool. Well, let's do it.
That's pretty 80s. That's insane. Come on, Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
We said, as many Ghostbusters as you can bring, let's do it.
Well, and then they were like, we've got like 15 people. And we were like, oh.
Well, yeah, we were expecting like 3. They're like, we have 15. And
we were like, that was not as many.
That's more than we were expecting.
We were as safe as possible at the last Christmas.
Right. We were not going to be invaded by ghosts.
We were not afraid of any ghosts.
So... We've only talked about the daytime activities of Last Christmas. So Last Christmas is, of course, a song written by George Michael. I think it's technically credited to Wham, but it's a George Michael song.
Right.
And it's my all-time favorite Christmas song. And the kind of theme of the event was a twist on Last Christmas. And because the song is about last year when a girl broke his heart, blah, blah, blah. We made it a end of the world Last Christmas. This is the last Christmas ever. The world ends at 2 a.m. We got to have the greatest party ever. So
that brings to my mind a question. We've had the, I believe, 1986 end of the New Year's party, the redo, and in a couple of days we're having a 1987. So we have this sort of like party event storytelling going on.
We have an
and you just mentioned about what we will and will not bring back in future Last Christmas parties. My question is the obvious question: are we going to have like the post-apocalyptic? Are we going to keep our continuity of storytelling in parties?
So that's a good point.
Still working out all those details.
we need to.
It has been discussed.
The bombs have gone off. The Stranger Things 2 thing has ripped apart the world, right. And we have to have the grunge party now.
If we lose the continuity of events,
make my costume.
Yeah. So, nighttime events. This might be the craziest thing we've ever done. At 7 p.m., we had. I guess it's actually been done before, but not at 2017. Breakdancing Santa. Breakdancing Santa came, and we had no idea what to expect. Breakdancing Santa had no idea what to expect because we went to our graffiti artist Joe Skills, who we know is an uber b-boy, and I feel ridiculous saying that, but it's true.
Right.
He is a b-boy.
He's awesome at everything he does.
Right, and he is big into that like b-boy thing. He does b-boy classes. He is a great breakdancer, and
fantastic.
So I said, you know what you could do? We could get you a Santa costume and you could dance. And he was like, how long does the set have to be? And this is the biggest, most ignorant thing about breakdancing.
We didn't tell him at all.
I've ever said. Well, I was just like, I don't know, like an hour. And so, he came up with a 40-minute breakdancing.
40-minute breakdancing
which, of course,
set.
He invited his friends. He invited the crowd. He had to do everything because...
Yes, I was stashing as many like plants as I could. Like, Sarah can dance.
Because seriously...
Bring her out front.
40 minutes of breakdancing is too long.
We have learned this.
So next year, Breakdancing Santa will probably be more like a 5 to 10 minute set.
Right.
Absolutely. Well, it was so much fun, though, early on. I was hanging out at the front. We had a massive group of people gathered around him. They were all into the crowd. People were hopping into the circle. People were hopping out of the circle. Like, he was taking breaks, like, on his knees, like, pointing at people and engaging in things. People were just having a great time dancing. The crowd, the line out the door was just sitting there going, what is going on? I gotta see what's going on.
We had Breakdancing Santa, and he was amazing.
Oh,
Joe
was
Skills
fantastic.
did the best,
it was so much fun.
Best job we could ever just imagine. And I remember... I had to go handle a game break or something 20 minutes in or so. I walk away. I look down at my phone 5 minutes, 10 minutes later, and it's a message from Julie, who's our administrative assistant, amazing, and she was handling the scheduling and everything of all these events, and she's like, you're gonna kill him. He's gonna die.
Yeah.
She was just
He's been dancing for like 30 minutes straight at this point.
This is some sort of like sick torture.
He's spinning, he's doing windmills.
I walk up there, I'm like, oh my god. He's just like,
He's
but he's
balancing on
still
his
going.
hands
He's still
and-
going.
He is a trooper. Like,
And so I actually have his friend go up to him and be like, all right, you don't have to do the whole hour because that was dumb. I can't believe I did that, but
It's like a hockey shift. It lasts about 40 seconds as you're spinning on your head and
it was
on your
ridiculous.
hands. And,
It was
yeah.
awesome. It was everything we could have ever imagined Breakdancing Santa could be. And I mean, that's something that we did. Like 2017 Breakdancing Santa in a massive, one of the biggest arcades in the country, definitely one of the best arcade lineups in the world, and in the middle of it all, a Breakdancing Santa.
I can guarantee that no other arcade in all history has ever had a party like a free play party.
So
No way.
So and yeah, that was about the point where I was just like, this is getting absurd. This is just absurd.
It was amazing.
And but you know, as we look toward next year, because I think we're gonna have to throw another killer Christmas party.
Oh,
As
absolutely.
we refine 5 minutes, 10-minute Breakdancing Santa at most.
Maybe multiple sets.
Right?
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Maybe
break it down.
bring them back.
Oh, he's like the was it the Sandman that comes out at the Apollo?
Right.
He's in between acts.
He's the hype. He's the
Yeah,
hype
yeah, yeah.
Breakdancing Santa.
Nice.
Right, in between bands and DJs. Here comes
Our
Breakdancing
MC,
Santa
Breakdancing
again.
Santa.
And so after Breakdancing Santa, George Michael took the stage.
Yes.
The only George Michael cover band there's some in the UK, but the only in the US was at Free Play Arlington on December 16th for Last Christmas, so that we could have George Michael sing Last Christmas on Last Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's absurd. It was freedom. I thought they put on a great show.
I did as
It was
well.
amazing.
They have their own following, and that was the most interesting thing. We had we had all the normal arcade people there, and by the end of his set, he was crowded by like 150, 200 people at the stage. But at the beginning, as he was getting warmed up and as everyone was getting set up, all these middle-aged women came out of nowhere, and they didn't come to the arcade to play
And
arcade
every
games.
one of them knew every word to every song.
And it turns out Freedom has their own middle-aged women groupies that we brought to the arcade for Last Christmas.
It was awesome.
And I mean, they were the front line, but by the end of the concert, I mean, it was crushed. I could not believe how many people were there just around the stage, and it didn't really fully process to me until they stopped playing and the crowd dispersed, and they just kept dispersing, and they all slammed the bar, and the bartenders were like, "Oh my god, there were 200 people around, nuts!" But they put on a great set. They played just amazing George Michael songs, Wham songs. We got Last Christmas. I mean, everything. We got Wake Me Up Before You Go. We got Faith. It was awesome.
Yeah, every George Michael song you wanted to hear, you heard.
It was awesome. They had a great 2-hour set on a huge stage with awesome lighting.
Thank you, Emerald City Productions,
Well,
by the way.
I don't you know the terms. What were the little light towers that were facing?
Okay, so we put truss towers up. We just put up lights in truss towers to create a really cool effect, and then we had lights shining on the stage from the top of those. We should probably invest in some ourselves.
At an arcade. At a holiday party at an arcade.
Surrounded
We
by
had
actual functioning arcades being played.
Well, that was what was
absolutely.
beautiful. What was was it Third Strike?
Third Strike was over there. I was over there supporting those guys.
So Third Strike is right next to the stage, and so you have like these 25 to 35-year-old guys being just slammed right next to the speaker with a George Michael cover band. And you know what was great though is you could see them slowly get into it. Like you see them.
I was all the way into it. I was there to pay lip service to supporting them and play
We had a
with.
few people online that they were a little worried. They said, "This sounds like the greatest party that has ever been thrown, except for the George Michael cover band. What's that about?"
Well, and that was so crazy to me. Yeah, like we were going all out. We were going to get into the spirit no matter what. And that's the thing. Like I love Last Christmas. It's my favorite Christmas song.
Absolutely.
Ever. And
Except the
Careless
new version that's playing on the radio right now.
yeah, apparently there's some other, but
kinda
Careless Whisper, amazing.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I could listen to those two just on repeat for like 30 hours and just be in heaven. Probably go insane, but it would be awesome. It would be killer. But yeah, it was interesting because there are people that like don't really listen to George Michael, and I was just like, guys, this is it. Who else is gonna sing Last Christmas at Last Christmas?
Yeah.
I mean, it was amazing. And then we brought friend of Free Play, our house DJ to the extent we'll ever have one, DJ Terminator Mike B on a rebuilt stage.
Oh, yes.
So let's tell this. So what happened? So Freedom ends their set. Everyone disperses. The arcade is 350, 400 people in it at that time. The crowd is pumped. They are ready to jam. They're ready to party the night away because that would have been at 10 p.m. that they finish. And DJ Terminator Mike B is supposed to play 11 to 2. We've got all these truss lights. We've got all this sound stuff. And the sound guy shows up. And what is this?
So we had a little communication issue going forward. And I had been talking to Corey, and he had said, I'd been like, so, what time's Freedom set and all of the stuff. And he didn't quite mention to me that Mike B was going to be playing afterwards. I probably should have followed up with that, but
it's true. I did only say when the band was playing.
I passed all of the information along to our audio company, Emerald City Productions, and they showed up to strike the show at 10 o'clock at night.
With DJ Mike B just about ready to go on.
Well, unfortunately, they had some prior engagements that they had to go strike elsewhere, so we couldn't hold their equipment hostage and keep them for extra time. So, fortunately, we have our powered speakers and different things.
And these are big powered speakers. These are awesome powered speakers.
They're fantastic.
And we've used them for all sorts of things.
Was it from the previous week's event?
Right.
From
the previous
Well, and those speakers were currently being used because another thing I did is I wanted it to be a winter wonderland outside and a party inside. So we had dedicated speakers outside pumping only Christmas music.
Yep.
So these were the speakers pump, and I had it way too loud. It was pumping into all of Arlington. We were pumping Christmas music everywhere.
Everyone was in the spirit.
And so Richard has to run outside and break down.
We break down the entire outside set. We go ahead and set that up. We have like 40 minutes in between the last set before Mike B is supposed to start his set. We break down the entire stage, get all of the audio equipment off, get all of the lighting and stuff down. I'm like apologizing to Mike B the entire time. I'm like, oh man, I'm so sorry, man. Like, we set up everything. Everything's awesome. We've got our own in-house stuff. We've now added some new in-house equipment that we can use to continue the parties going awesome after that. But it turned out to be a great set. We got them all hooked up into the system. We figured all that out, and he took off and rocked it.
Yeah, it was,
this might have been my favorite Mike B set.
No, he's been great, but this was special. Like, it was probably the atmosphere plus the music selection. But, there were probably 20 people because I ended up leaving the arcade about an hour and a half before it closed. There were probably 20 people not playing any of the games. We've got 130 games there. Great pinball lineup. They're just dancing to Mike B's music right in front of the stage and just like gone. They're completely into the music. The playlist was killer. It crushed. The only thing I said was I want a retro holiday set. It was awesome.
I'm one of his biggest fans. I go to his shows. He's introduced me to a few songs. But one thing he did that really, really stands out in my mind is I play Third Strike terribly just to support the scene out there. And I play Hugo, who is a character from Final Fight, only because he's a character from Final Fight, and he has his escort manager, Poison, that comes out, who's also a character from Final Fight. She's the whip. She has a whip and pink hair and very little clothes in Final Fight if you've played that game. Well, he's calling her out, and I use the taunt all the time, so I walk up there, and he immediately puts on Belle Biv DeVoe Poison.
Poison!
Yes, which might as well be a song about the game I'm playing. The lyrics are so perfectly set to it.
Well, and yeah, it was just, every step of the way he crushed it. And, like the last thing I did was get up on stage and turn it just a little bit louder.
Of course you did.
I was like, man, this is a great party.
That sounds like a Corey trademark.
You know what would improve the party? Slightly louder. And it was, those two speakers were crushing. We had it piped to all the house speakers.
Oh, absolutely.
And we've got a pretty killer setup already at Arlington. It's weird, but it can get loud. It can crush.
Absolutely.
And people were just, I looked out at all the games, people dancing while they're playing, the bartenders dancing while they're serving, the people at the bar dancing, and then just people actually just dancing on the dance floor. Killer. Well, so Breakdancing Santa starts our nighttime activities. Then Freedom. The only George Michael cover band, Freedom, the only George Michael cover band in the country, comes up
fantastic
to play Last Christmas, crushes it. Yeah, those guys are like just professional and amazing, and that was that was George Michael as close as we can get nowadays. It was awesome. I mean, backup singers. I mean, he had 2 backup singers just back there to do backup female vocals. Then he had a female guitarist to do extra backing. It was just, I mean, drummer, awesome. Just so cool. I mean, it was a real deal George Michael experience on Last Christmas. And then DJ Mike B comes in and plays my favorite DJ Mike B set ever. Mm-hmm. And then at 1 a.m.
Then at 1 a.m. Dreidel, Major League Dreidel comes back.
Spin Agog Part 2.
Yes.
And
we had a new champion emerge from the crowd and break like all of the previous. And I announced it as an arcade record that will probably stand forever.
Well,
which, if we're doing more Major League Dreidel events, maybe not. But something like 12 and a half seconds
in a tournament setting on the smallest one.
On the smallest one. She just walked
killer.
up and that was it. And it was all done, and 4 seconds later, the dreidel stopped spinning.
Right, it was just killer. I mean, and so that was it. We did we did a little bit more than 1,000 people through the door. We gave away 400 and something bad movies. We poured
tons of prizes off the prize wheel.
We poured 3. Mm-hmm. We gave away 80s toys. We poured 300 or 400 things of servings of hot chocolate. Spiked half of them. Served. An actual truckload of alcohol, had ice skating, snowball fights, all in Arlington, Texas on a 60-degree day in the middle of December.
For a non-ticketed event, correct?
It was $10
$10 admission.
$10.
Which is what we charged for arcade admission.
Right.
Every day.
It was killer. It was awesome.
Because we're crazy.
We're going to tweak it, and we'll be back. And I think next year's going to be better, and I think the next year's going to be better. And I think we're going to eventually be the perfect holiday 80s party in the world. It was awesome, and that was killer.
Yeah.
So those are the recent events. We have some more stuff to talk about in the next podcast, but I think that's an awesome place to stop. We just had an insane December of insane arcade parties. The last Christmas party was probably the biggest, most insane arcade party in history. I mean, if you've watched Tron and you've seen Flynn's, we did.
We live in Flynn's Arcade.
That is what we do
every day.
And I mean, we had 130 people leave at 2 a.m. on last Christmas, disappointed that they had to leave at 2. I mean, that was 15 hours after we opened. Incredible. Nothing like this. We could have never imagined anything like this when we opened Free Play.
Oh, not at all.
That's what we're doing. So, I mean, from the lab, we've recapped all of our parties. They're going to be even better next year, somehow even crazier.
We'll think up some ideas.
And until the next podcast, we are signing off from the lab. We'll see y'all next time.
Peace out.